Hi.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. Today we are talking about Shipped by Angie Hockman, and I am so excited because if you guys know me at all, if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you know that basically my favorite trope of all time is enemies to lovers, workplace romance. Another one of my favorite tropes of all times, or favorite elements in a romance book, is forced proximity, and this book contains both of them, so I don't know why it took me so freaking long to read it. Actually, the reason I ended up reading it was because I recently did a video on my channel, a book battle reading vlog, where I compared The Unhoneymooners to The Layover by Lacey Walden, and those are both books that are enemies to lovers stuck on vacation together, and several of you commented on that video, DM'd me on Instagram, and were like, yo, if you liked those books, you gotta read Shipped. So I was in an airport recently and I saw this in one of the little bookstores there, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. I read the entire book, literally just sitting waiting for my flight, and then on the plane home, read it in one sitting, and I loved it. I thought it was such a cute, simple, like summer rom-com with a little like enemies to lovers spice to it. Seriously, I just loved it, so let's talk about it. So this story follows a girl named Henley. She is your stereotypical like boss bitch working girl that doesn't have any time left over for herself. She is in the process of getting her MBA, but she is also working full-time at this cruise ship company, and she is the marketing manager there, and she is very much focused on her career. She has a whole like set list of like all these goals she wants to accomplish, like a certain position she wants to achieve by a certain age. Like she just wants to climb that corporate ladder, and she's super driven, super like focused on her success basically. And Henley is a super hard worker, and she really gets along with most people she works with in her office, except for one person, her work nemesis named Graham. And he is in charge of the social media at the company, and they've never actually met in person because he works fully remote, but he just grinds Henley's gears because, like I said, she's a very hard worker. She's really meticulous in what she does. She sends like super long, super professional, like flowery emails, and Graham responds with like singular words, and like that's the most he ever gives her. He's really good at what he does, but he's just a little more chaotic than her. Like he doesn't do everything like to a T in the way that she does. He's not like super detail oriented, but the stuff that he does is very, very good, and she just doesn't get along with him. There's also something that happened like when they first initially sort of met that just rubbed her the wrong way, and just she's basically marked him as she doesn't like him, she doesn't like working with him, he drives her crazy. But of course, he's very attractive, right? He's very attractive because he has to be very attractive, because that's what makes this story interesting. But pretty much at the start of the story, we learn that there's a new position opening in the company. It is the director of digital marketing, and Henley is on the short list for the role, and she's super excited, thinking, oh my god, this is perfect, this is a great next step for me, I'm super excited. She goes in to talk to her boss about it, and they're having a conversation when she hears a little rustling from the phone line, and is like, who's that? What's going on? It turns out Graham is also up for the promotion. They are the two like top candidates. Does this sound like The Hating Game to you? Because if it does, it does, and it made me so excited when I realized that's what was happening. The competition, the workplace rivals. I love it so much. So even though Henley and Graham are both really good at their jobs in different ways, the one thing that they both have in common is that neither one of them have actually been on a cruise for their cruise company. They've never actually seen firsthand what their customers are experiencing, which obviously would be very helpful when you're working in marketing to know like what the people want. So their boss basically tasks them with, they both have to go on their least popular cruise to the Galapagos Islands. They have to go on it together, and they have to live the life of a normal customer on that cruise, and basically each of them has to come up with a marketing proposal at the end of the trip to improve revenue, get more people to buy tickets, etc. And whoever does a better job is going to get the position. So obviously now we've got the whole enemies to lovers stuck on vacation thing happening. It was just a good old time. It was summer vibes. At the same time that this is going on, there's also kind of like a side story with Henley's sister, where she is like very different from Henley. She's very like free spirit, floating through life, you know, wants to be like a yoga instructor, and is just figuring things out, has a hard time keeping a job. So she kind of like reappears in Henley's life and needs a little help and wants to stay with Henley, and Henley's like, I'm about to leave for 2 weeks to go on a cruise. You can't stay with me. And she's like, oh my God, cute, I'll go with you. So her sister ends up joining her on the cruise, which adds a whole extra kind of fun element to the story. We love a good, like, quirky side character. It just adds a little bit extra to the story, and I loved it. If you've read The Layover, which if you haven't, that's another book that I just feel like is so underrated. The Layover by Lacey Walden, seriously, so good. This book reminded me so much of that, with the banter and the just work nemesises that are together, and they're forced to spend time together, they're forced to do activities together, so you're kind of like forced to bond with one another. And obviously, like, these two did not get off to a good start, but just being humans, oftentimes we don't communicate with one another and just work things out that could have so easily been worked out if we just talked. But because they're stuck together now, they have like a lot more opportunities to talk. And I don't know, this book even gets into some like ideas of just like women in the workplace and what they have to deal with and how it's so much harder. Not just necessarily harder, it is harder, but there's big differences in like what men have to do and what women have to do and what's expected of men and how they're perceived versus how women are perceived. And I think that that's a really interesting topic that was able to be touched on and addressed in this book without like taking away from it. It was still a good time. I love a book that's like good and fun and light, but also can deal with some like actual issues and topics and gives you something to think about. It was just very good. It was very good. I feel like on the back it says it's The Unhoneymooners meets The Hating Game, and I see that. The Hating Game is obviously if you know me, is my favorite rom-com of all time, so it's hard to truly compare any book to that, because that for me is like my top tier. But definitely, if you liked those vibes, if you're looking for a summary version of those vibes, I promise you will enjoy this book. It was a good time, and that's all I want to say about it, because I want you guys to go and read it. If you have read Shipped by Angie Hockman, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. If you decide to read it, hit me up on Instagram, send me a DM, let me know what you thought. If you guys have any other books similar to this with some summer vibes, I'm all about the summer vibes right now. I'm into it. I'm fully in swing with it. So yeah, let me know. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to read them. But yeah, other than that, that is it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye!